Darkthrone, the underground resistance. They don't give a fuck, and neither do I. Apparently Darkthrone are still putting out albums. Gotta give them credit for caring when no one else does anymore. At least sort of caring, given the notable absence of songwriting on this album. So around the time of Ravishing Grimness we started getting snippets from Fenritz about how he loves boring metal now, and is trying to get Darkthrone in that kind of direction. And I guess what was kind of cool for novelty's sake was that album, giving us some nice tunes like The Claws of Time and The Beast Along the Way. But somehow this infatuation never seems to have ended and turned into some sort of obsession. People say Darkthrone is an ever-changing beast, and yeah, on the surface they display different influences now than they did in 1999. But it's still the same boring metal shtick they've kept repeating now for almost 2 decades, taking the most stock riffs they can think of and driving them into the ground by endless repetition. Different window dressing with epic heavy metal or whatever influences you claim to have these days doesn't hide the fact that it's just another retread of the same boring metal idea that worked once in 1999 as a one-off experience. That isn't even the most glaring flaw of the album. What really kills it is the way the songs and riffs are structured. After almost every single time they play a riff, there's a sort of break or fill that has you feel like they are moving on to the next part, but then they play the same riff again. Ad nauseam sometimes. It gives the song such a start-stop feeling, devoid of any flow, the way they seem to start over after every time they play a riff, as if they're unsure if it's time for the next part and keep making a last-moment decision to repeat the riff once more again instead. And since every instance of a riff being played ends in the expectation that the next part is going to start now, you'd expect it to at least happen that way. But when a next part does start, they manage to make it feel thrown in completely randomly. Finally time for a new part after so many opportunities to start it, and then it seems they don't actually have any idea how to move on to it. Were they dissociating when they made this album? I thought Cough Zero was something for hipster black metallers exclusively. The vocals are another thing that bothers me. Vocals in Darkthrone albums in the old days were either overwhelmingly strong or offensively horrible, becoming charming after repeated listens and adding to the album's overall atmosphere, thinking of Panzerfaust and Goatlord here. Last few albums they just don't seem to give a fuck to go either way anymore, which I guess they wear as a sort of badge of honor like with their music. Hey, we're Darkthrone, we don't give a fuck. But honestly, it's descended to such an appallingly low level on this album. Nocturnal Culto seems to do what a satyr of Satyricon always loved to do, just talking a few words in a raspy voice every time a riff starts, as if to say, hey guys, by the way, riff is starting. It sounds more like commentary on the song than actual vocals. Oh yeah, here's a riff, saying a few words, pause till next riff, then say a few more words. Annoying. Fenritz tries a little more with actual vocals, but not adding anything to the music, just accompanying it a bit. It's cool for stuff like Isengard or that Axiom doom metal project of his, but for the epic heavy metal thing they're apparently trying to go for in these songs, there's just not enough character to his voice. The vocals are just there for the sake of having vocals. And I guess Fenritz wasn't too fond of his efforts either, or got shy in his advancing age. Else I don't know why they'd have put his clean vocals so low in the mix, especially compared to his bandmates. So Darkthrone guys, you want to old school up your sound more and more with each album. That's cool, I think you got the talent to pull it off. You're fucking Darkthrone, of course you do. But not as long as you keep hanging on to the long, worn-out, ravishing grimness, boring metal and we're Darkthrone, we don't give a fuck approach, and repeating it over and over again, album after album. Had you abandoned that after trying it for 1 or 2 albums and given us the last few records with some spirit and some giving a shit, which is not a crime against true metal or whatever, whoever told you that? We could have had some solid albums. But if you want to keep doing your boring metal routine, it's me who just doesn't give a fuck.